Hey, and welcome to the Coffee Chat podcast with your host, JMP, and our guest today, Miss Tiffany with Building Wealthy Families. You guys, if you do not have your coffee mug, make sure that you stop this video. Go get your coffee mug. Yes, go get your coffee mug. It doesn't matter if it's coffee, juice, whatever, okay? Just go get something so you can sip while we chat it up, all right? Okay, Miss Tiffany, welcome to the podcast show. Thank you so much for coming on today. Go ahead and share who Tiffany is.
Well, first, thank you for having me. I never knew when we came across each other that we would be, a few months later collaborating as much as we have, but I really appreciate the connection. And so, who am I? My name is Tiffany Gills. I'm a mom of two. I have a 6-year-old and a 16-year-old. And so they keep me busy. But aside from that, I'm a veteran. I enjoy just the arts. I enjoy seeing people win. And I enjoy talking about how we can, have a positive future and have an exciting life. And so you'll see as we talk more, some of the deep interests that I have and the ways that I help families on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. All right, guys. So when I met Tiffany, her heart for helping families is real. Excuse me. She really has a passion to making sure families have their access in place, making sure families have the right resources and tools that they need for them to be able to live life comfortably and live life the way that they desire. So we're gonna get into the questions of the interview and we're gonna learn more about her business, about what it is that she does. So I highly recommend that you go grab some paper and pen or pencil, whatever works for you, notebook, whatever. And take some notes because I'm pretty sure she's gonna give us some healthy or some good gems as to how to have a wealthy family. All right, so Tiffany, go ahead and tell us how you got into this industry.
So I got into the industry because I have a friend and she was getting her licenses and investments. And I was running my YouTube channel, making money mostly from affiliate marketing at the time. And she told me, since you are working mostly with startup entrepreneurs, don't you think they would want to be able to save up so that they can quit their jobs and go into their business full time? And at the time, I found myself having a recurring conversation. And I would talk to people who wanted to separate from their job, similar to what I had done. So I had separated from the military after 9 years of service, and I went into running a business. And because most people don't make that transition, I got a lot of questions. Um, so for most people, if they separate from their job or separate from the military or separate from a stable income, then they typically go to another environment where it's very similar. But if you go from having a job into having a business, there can be some inconsistency with how the money flows, especially in those first few years. So for me, it was helpful to start saving up early so that when there are ups and downs with the money, that I wouldn't necessarily feel it right away. And so I was having that conversation with more people who wanted to make the same transition. And when she brought that idea up to me that maybe I should consider getting an investment license, I thought it sounded amazing. She showed me how I could do the process, and I thought it was fairly low risk and it's compatible to what I was doing. So that's what made me get into the industry.
Amazing. Okay, so I'm pretty sure it's self-explanatory who your main clients are, but just so for those who are watching, so they can get a little bit more clarity as to who it is that you enjoy working with, who are some of the people, some of the families that you enjoy working with?
So originally, I thought I would be working mostly with startup entrepreneurs, but as I started learning more about the business, I got to see that it's most helpful for the person who they want to improve their financial situation. And typically that falls into like maybe a parent who wants to make sure they have a better financial situation so that their kids can have a better future. That could be a single person who just is wanting to mature in that area, wanting to make the right financial decisions, wanting to focus on building their net worth. That could be someone who has been working for a little while but they want to start paying more attention so that they can retire comfortably. It's quite a few situations, but overall, if you have the goal of wanting to improve your financial situation, then it's really good to have a financial coach, somebody who you can be accountable to, but even better if they're licensed and they can help you like open accounts, manage accounts, and actually get into the technical details.
Okay. So when would you say would be the best time or a good time to come to you to get assistance?
The best time, well, in a dream world, the best time would be before you've created other expenses. So, for example, if you are just, reaching near an adulthood and you haven't gotten an apartment to rent yet, and you haven't gotten other expenses from your first paycheck yet, it's good to start saving at that point. But to be honest, most of us don't start thinking like that before we've accumulated our adulthood expenses. Most of us start thinking about being more financially savvy maybe after we've had kids or after we're wanting to quit our job or, after something happens. So I would say that the best time is now. Overall, the best time is just as soon as you realize that maybe you could improve your financial situation, then reach out.
Awesome. So you hear that right, entrepreneurs, parents that are watching this show. If you have some teenagers that are close to graduating, make sure that you contact Tiffany because, like she said, the best ideal time is to do it before they get into responsibilities with bills and car notes and rent and all of those things. But if you are in a space like she said, we go on, live our life, make the mistakes, and now you're like, okay, I want to take this chance. The best time is now to do it. Okay, so I want to ask you, what is the biggest mistake you made, and then what was the lesson behind that?
So, in my own personal finances, is that what
Yeah,
you mean?
yeah.
Okay, so in my own personal finances, I would say that when I left my parents' house, I joined the military. And from there, I started picking up expenses. Like I moved from Ohio, where I was born and raised, to Texas, and then I got a car. I bought furniture, and before I knew it, I had some loans that needed to be paid, and savings was not the first thing that I started out doing. I kind of wish that I had started saving first and then been able to pay for those things in cash and possibly build um, interest for myself instead of paying those furniture companies or vehicle loan companies in interest. But those are some mistakes that I made. But on top of that, I would say um, I'm a parent and I'm a single parent, and I know that I've made a lot of emotional spending choices too. So I know that when I go somewhere like even somewhere simple like the grocery store or something like that, and my kid picks out something and they give you those eyes, like it's kind of hard sometimes, you know? It's kind of hard sometimes. And I can say that not just for my kids, but there's other circumstances where maybe like even simple things like maybe you might be out with friends, but in your mind, you had a budget of what you were supposed to be spending. And then, like, just in the heat of the moment, you're like, you know what, forget that. I'm gonna have fun this time. You know, I've
Mhm.
done a lot. I've done all those things. And I would say that over time and just by way of having more accountability, it helps um, to monopolize the decisions with more of the right thing and less of the emotional spending things.
Yes. Okay, so you brought up emotional spending, which I know all of us do. So especially and then especially when you're really like in a vulnerable state, like you're upset,
Yes,
you're
yes,
angry. We call it retail therapy, right? That's what
yes.
we call it. So, what are some things that you could suggest to overcome or defeat that emotional feeling to want to just purchase something and you know it's not really a necessity, it's not a need, especially if you are in a state of saving and investing and trying to get out of debt? What do you recommend that they can do or we can do?
Well, I would say the first thing is to have a plan because when you have a plan, then you already know that by the end of this year, I want it to be from like having 5,000 in debt to having a positive, having more than 10,000 in the bank or something like that. You know kind of what your destination is supposed to be for the end of the year. And if you have a plan like that, then it kind of is something that you should like visualize regularly. So that way you can say, well, I really want to accomplish that goal. And also having a real why as to why do you have that plan? Like for example, maybe you want to have that 10,000 set aside by the end of this year so that you can take your family on a vacation. Like maybe you want to take them overseas, or maybe you want to do something special with them, or maybe you just don't want to be in a vulnerable financial state where you constantly going back to the credit cards or you constantly going back to getting a loan or whatever. But you have to really know, what is that why? Is the why because I want stability and I never want to go back into a state where like I am struggling? Or is the why because I want to elevate my lifestyle? I want to take my kids on a vacation. I want to put a down payment on a house, whatever the case is. That why has to be something that's very important, because if it's very important, then when you're in that emotional state and you're like at the store and whatever it is really looking good to you and you want to swipe that card, you'll remember like, dang, if I swipe this card, it's going to take away from us going to Greece next year. Or you know, it's going to take away from how secure I'm going to feel by having that certain amount in the emergency fund or whatever. Like you'll keep going back to like how important that why is, and kind of it should be big enough that you want to say no.
Amazing, amazing. So I hope you guys took some notes on that. Make sure that you have a plan, okay? For me, I have to have a list going into the grocery store, and I have to make sure I eat before going to the grocery store because if I don't, I'm just purchasing.
Oh man, right?
I was just purchasing.
Right?
So I've been doing the listing for about 5 years now. For the majority part, I am pretty good to sticking to it. Now sometimes I do slip and grab a little extra, but even if I do grab a little extra, I try not to go too over budget.
Yeah. And
So,
you know how they get you? They get you with the samples. Like
and the sales, and the sales.
yeah, and the sales.
Those
Like
are
if
the
you get this sausage, then you can get the hot dog buns for free. And it's like, oh shoot, like maybe I should get the sausage that's a little more expensive than I intended. So yeah, it's all kinds of clever things that come up while you're out. So yeah, for me, I mostly do my shopping online. Like I do my groceries for pickup or delivery,
Mhm.
and it just makes it easier for me to stick to what I said I wanted.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Yeah,
get one day. One day I'm gonna get to where I can go and just be, I feel like you guys fancy when y'all ordering groceries and then go pick them up when they get delivered to the house. Okay, go ahead.
yeah, I usually do pickup. And my area, the grocery store does pickup and it doesn't cost anything extra. So I just no, I'm able to think about what I want from the grocery store earlier and kind of plan around what I plan on making and all that stuff. It just
Okay.
makes it easier for me.
All right, so legacy. We love talking about legacy, right? So the question I
Yeah.
have for you is what is the legacy you would like to leave behind and who is the legacy for?
So um that's a big question. That's thinking with the end in mind, right? So I would say that I always think about how awesome it would be to say that I transferred millions of dollars of generational wealth from one generation to another over the course of my career. And I know just by doing, like, let's say, a life insurance policy where I know somebody is going to be issued a half a million, $1 million, or whatever the case is, 300,000, 250,000. If I stick with this career for 20 years or so, and I'm doing a $250,000 policy at least even daily or something, it adds up real fast
Yeah.
where I'll be able to at some point say that some of those policies paid out and somebody else's kids ended up with hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of wealth because of what I sat with their parents and did. And then on top of that, like if I'm also working on investments, then that would be even more. Like even if I start somebody at saving $25 a month, for example, usually just by way of time and building your confidence in what you're capable of and conversations, just talking about money more and having more accountability, people tend to change that and start to prioritize it more. And I just would love to be able to say that I've helped thousands of people to build wealth and to have a much more positive future for their generations. And it also goes back to like I read some statistics and some of the statistics were, just kind of disappointing. And it's another reason why the statistics kind of gave me more fuel when I was studying for my investment licenses, because sometimes those licenses were kind of boring to study for, to be honest. And so when I saw statistics like the average Black woman between 20 and 39 um, with a bachelor's degree has a net worth of 0 to negative 11,000, that statistic has stuck in my mind so much because I fall in that statistic. I'm 20, I'm not 20, but I'm turning 36. So I fall in that statistic. They're adding up my net worth and stuff and dividing it with everybody else in that pool. And so I know a lot of people, like my friends, my cousins, like, people I typically network with, a lot of them fall in that demographic. And I just think that it would be awesome to say that that statistic is changed. It's no longer 0 to negative 11,000. How awesome would it be to say that, like, now instead of it being 0 to negative 11,000, we're at 6-figure net worth or more. Same demographic, you know, because it's not solely about income. I mean, from what I remember, I haven't verified this statistic, but I remember reading about statistics of Black women with their education, and we're being at a high percentile nowadays. And so, like, it's with being more educated, we also are open to more income opportunities. And I just feel like it's more of us making it a priority versus like, having a fixed income all the time. You know what I mean?
Portion of the Chat 10 challenge where Miss Tiffany would answer 10 questions and she's gonna see if she can make it in under 10 minutes. All right, so I'm gonna set the timer. Question we have on the clock is, what do you do to maintain a work-life balance?
What do I do? I make sure that I have a network of people that can help me with childcare. Um, I make sure that I have things that I want to do just for self-care and not so much all about work or all about the kids or something like that. But I make sure I have a list of things that I want to do just because I want to do them, you know? Um, I what else do I do? I also make sure I have accountability, um, so that people can tell me, like, if I'm looking busted or if there's opportunities for me to like live to a higher potential than I am. Like, I make sure that I have people who are honest with me about that.
Amazing. Okay, so what is the biggest challenge you faced so far as an entrepreneur?
The biggest challenge is, I would say for me, probably emotional intelligence. Um, Sometimes you can work with people that are irritating, and sometimes, sometimes you can like be offended, or you can just get to a place where you're not being as consistent with what you are supposed to do in order to grow. And I would say that you have to be able to constantly reverse your self-talk and have positive affirmations and things that you say to yourself so that those irritating instances and all of the negative things that comes up as you are building a business becomes a minority. So you got to keep saying, like, like, I'm gonna just keep going. I'm not gonna let that get to me. Whatever the affirmations are, they could be very simple. I'm not gonna let it get to me. And you keep going.
Okay, so what are the most important lessons you learned as an entrepreneur?
Um, the most important lessons that I've learned, I would say, would be um, about serving other people, people skills, and um, just like personal development. Like I've learned I've learned discipline. I've learned a lot of things, and I'm not saying that I've mastered them all to the point that I don't have to keep learning them. But I would say that some of the things I've learned is just like self discipline, and being consistent even when nobody's looking.
Mm. What are some of the essential skills you need as an entrepreneur in your industry?
Some of the essential skills is um, really people skills and perseverance, and consistency. So, like, what I actually do, I would say that it's not that difficult because um, it's just like exercising, saving, investing, um, and actually setting up the financial plan is not that difficult. The hard part is sticking to it. And so most people might have the logic, like they might know logically that they should save, they should invest, they should get insurance, they should set their family up for wealth. But from a perseverance standpoint, they might have a hard time. Like when, let's say, the car breaks down, then they might be like, you know what, I can't keep saving. I feel like I'm behind the Powerball. And then you have to just say, hey, like this is a one-time instance. If you keep putting your effort towards it, you'll appreciate it later. And just being able to pour belief into people, I would say is something that you know, I'm still working on.
So define success for me. What does success look like for you?
Okay. Success for me looks like not having to tell myself no, not having to tell my kids no, uh, minority, like not that I always get my way, but the amount of times I tell myself no goes down drastically. You know, um, when you are not successful, you have to tell yourself no a lot. you you might have things that you want to do, and then you have to be like no because of dot dot dot. Either you don't have the time, you don't have the money, um, you don't have the freedom, whatever the reason is. And so there are people with money that have to tell themselves no a lot, and that's to me not successful.
Mm. So you'd rather
Um,
have the opportunity to say yes than not have the opportunity at all.
yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, I wanna be able to dream up things that I wanna do and be able to say yes that I can do them and not be hindered by time, location, or money.
Mm. Okay. So, what is the best advice you've ever received?
Ooh, this probably would change if you asked me today, tomorrow, and then the next day. Because I've gotten so much good advice over the years, and off the top of my head, I would be telling you this. I would say, ooh, the best advice. Um, I'm gonna go with this one for today. Set your own standards, because with our culture, social media, and just everything, a lot of times you might weigh your standards based off of like what your parents did, what your grandparents did, what other people are doing. Um, and that might not truly be what makes you internally happy. You
Mm.
know, I I like reality TV, right? And when I watch, sometimes I'll watch like a couple, and I just can't understand how the woman or how the husband deals with what the other person does. I'm like, I would never be able to live with that. But that's their standard. They are able to live with it, and they still may be smiling. So what works for me does not work for somebody else, and what works for somebody else may not work for me. So set your own standards.
I love that. Okay, so we talked about affirmation a little earlier. Share with us one affirmation that you tell yourself, and then what does it mean to you?
Um, One affirmation that I tell myself is this one is so simple, but it's keep going. Like sometimes, like I may get discouraged. I might feel like, I might not be happy about all the fruits of whatever I did. I might feel like I should be further, or, it's so many times when negative self-talk just creeps in. And whatever that is, um, I just have to remind myself, just keep going. And sometimes I go further than that and say, like, I'm not in a bad place. So like, get over get over yourself. Just keep going.
Okay, so what does business look like for you within the next year?
Within the next year, I really need to um so I would say within the next year, at the current moment, I'm working on my mortgage license. So I plan on expanding. And in addition to helping clients with life insurance and helping clients with investments, I'll also be able to get people approved for mortgages. And one cool thing about that is includes debt consolidation. So because of the partnership that I have, I'm able to consolidate debt into a mortgage. So I plan on really getting more into that and being able to offer full service when it comes to the finances. So that's something that I'm looking forward to. Um, yeah.
We ran out of time, but it's okay. I still want to ask these last two questions. Because it's
Okay.
loving your answers. Okay, so if you could trade places with anyone, who would that person be?
If I could trade places with anyone, um, hmm, that's a good question. Like, I would, I would still want to be I like the influence that public figures can have. I don't like the lack of privacy that they have. And I don't like how, so I'm thinking of people like Oprah or um, the First Lady Michelle Obama. I'm thinking about people like that. But like on the flip side, I want to be able to just get on a cruise without having to get bodyguards. Like, and she can't do that. I can't, you know? And I know that people in those positions, like they have a harder time making friendships. They can't just walk up to somebody at a grocery store and just make a genuine connection as easily as somebody like me can with a private, more of a private life. So I would say I would have a hard time answering that question. I like aspects of um, the lives of some people,
Mhm.
but um, I still like being me.
That's good. Okay, so last question I have for you is who is your right hand person?
Who's my right hand person? Um, well, I am in a relationship right now, and that is my right hand person right now. I mean, I talk to him all the time, and um, yeah, I get a lot of advice from him, a lot of accountability from him. So I would say my right hand person is my boo.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So you guys, that was a wrap with our chat 10 challenge. Again, thank you so much, Tiffany, for coming on to the show. But before we close it out, I'm going to go ahead and let you share where we can find you on social media, how we can follow you, how we can get in contact with you, and how can we get into learning more about investing, about insurance. Like, what can we do?
Okay, so the best place to get in contact with me would be by going to buildingwealthyfamilies.com. I'll repeat that, buildingwealthyfamilies.com. And if you go there, right at the top of the page, it offers you a free consultation. So you just click that, you pick the time and date that works for you, and I will show up. So that would be the best way. Aside from that, I am on social media. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn. So if you look up Tiffany Gills, or you look up Building Wealthy Families, you'll be able to find the information there as well. But the website is the best place, buildingwealthyfamilies.com.
Okay, amazing. All right, guys, make sure that you go and follow Tiffany on her social media sites. And if you are wanting to do a one-on-one with her to ask questions that you may have and learn how you can get started with investing and with starting your insurance plan, make sure that you contact her, okay? She didn't win the chat 10 shots, but it's okay. We got to learn a little bit more about Tiffany, who she is, and then also about her business. So much for rocking with me, JMP, and Miss Tiffany on today. Make sure you go follow her now and reach out to her for information. You guys, I will see you next time. Hey, you guys, it is JMP here, and I just want to personally say thank you for tuning in on today's show. You guys, we really appreciate the support and the love. Also, I wanted to remind you, if you haven't liked and subscribed to our KB Lounge YouTube channel, make sure that you go do that and ring that bell to get notified when it's time for a new podcast show to drop. Also, I wanted to let you guys know and remind you that on Thursdays, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we drop a new episode of an entrepreneur sharing their journey and sharing what they do in their business. If you're an entrepreneur and you want to be on the Coffee Chat podcast, go to our website. It is www.myvast.com. Click the KB Lounge tab, and then up under that, you will also see the Coffee Chat Queen podcast. Go there and schedule your interview to be on the show. If you are an entrepreneur and you're saying, I'm not too crazy about being on camera, that is okay. We also do Coffee Chat shout outs. So if you're interested in having a Coffee Chat shout out on the podcast show, also go to our website. All of that information. We'll also have your information in the description box for everyone to go find you and to check out your services and the products that you offer and your business. They're able to also follow you on your social media platform. So if you want to continue to see the podcast grow or the KB Lounge continue to grow, we are accepting donations. And if you are loving what we're doing here on the podcast and you're loving what we're doing in the KB Lounge, you can go to our website and go to the Coffee Chat Queen podcast page, and all of our information to donate and support our YouTube channel, support our podcast. So again, you guys, JMP checking out here, and I just want to just say thank you. Thank you for the love, thank you for support, and thank you for subscribing to us. See you guys next time.